My fork freezes halfway to my mouth as my father's voice cuts through Christmas dinner like a knife. You're nothing but a parasite. Amelia, the turkey I've been carving for the past hour, suddenly tastes like cardboard as 23 years of family loyalty crumbles in a single sentence. What I thought was a peaceful Christmas celebration was actually an ambush orchestrated by the people who raised me. But what my father didn't know was that I'd been secretly documenting every financial transaction for months, and what I discovered about his hidden activities would destroy everything he'd built. 3 days later, I walked into his office with evidence that would not only expose his lies, but also cost him his career and reputation. By the time you finish watching this story, you'll understand why sometimes the sweetest revenge comes from simply telling the truth. But, before we continue, check if you're already subscribed to the channel and write in the comments. Where are you watching this video from? The smell of roasted turkey fills our dining room as I carry the carved platter to the table, my hands steady despite the exhaustion from cooking since dawn. Christmas morning in the Davis household has always been my responsibility since Mom died 4 years ago. Dad sits at the head of our mahogany table, the one I refinished last spring, while my younger brother Jake scrolls through his phone, oblivious to the tension I've been sensing for weeks. Amelia, Dad's voice carries that tone I've learned to dread. We need to discuss your living situation. I set down the turkey, noting how Jake suddenly looks up from his screen. Something cold settles in my stomach as I take my seat across from him. What do you mean, Dad? You're 23 years old. He cuts into the turkey I spent 5 hours preparing. Most people your age have moved out, started their own lives. You're becoming too dependent on this family. The irony hits me like a slap. For the past year, since graduating college, I've been paying half the mortgage, all the groceries, and most of the utilities while working at the accounting firm downtown. My paychecks disappear into this house like water into sand, but somehow I'm the dependent one. I contribute plenty to this household, I say carefully, watching his face for the explosion I know is coming. Contribute? He laughs. The sound bitter and hollow, living in my house, rent-free, eating my food, using my electricity. You're nothing but a parasite. Amelia, a parasite that's gotten too comfortable. Jake shifts uncomfortably, but says nothing. The grandfather clock in the corner ticks loudly in the silence that follows. I want you out by New Year's Day, Dad continues, not meeting my eyes. It's time you learned what the real world is like. My hands tremble slightly as I reach for my water glass. 23 Christmases in this house, and this is how the 24th began. That night, I sit cross-legged on my bedroom floor, surrounded by bank statements and receipts I've been meticulously organizing for months. My laptop screen glows with spreadsheets that tell a story my father clearly doesn't want acknowledged. In the past 12 months, I've transferred $18,400 directly into the household account, $18,000 that kept the lights on, the water running, and food on the table. My phone buzzes with a text from my college roommate Sarah. How was Christmas dinner? I stare at the message, unsure how to explain that my family just imploded over turkey and stuffing. The bedroom door creaks open, and Jake peeks in. At 19, he's still got that gangly teenager look, all elbows and uncertainty. Hey, can we talk? Sure. I gesture to the space beside me on the carpet. Unless you're here to tell me I'm also a burden on your life. He sits down heavily, avoiding eye contact. Dad's been weird lately. More angry than usual. Jake picks at a loose thread on his jeans. I heard him on the phone with Uncle Robert last week. Something about money problems at the construction company. My stomach drops. Dad owns Davis Construction, a small operation that's been struggling since the recession hit our town hard. What kind of money problems? I don't know exactly, but ... Jake glances toward the door, then lowers his voice. I think he might be losing some big contracts, and there's something else. Remember when you asked about Mom's life insurance money last year? I nod. After Mom died, Dad claimed the insurance barely covered funeral costs and medical bills. But Mom had been meticulous about finances, and something never felt right about his explanation. I found some papers in his office when I was looking for my birth certificate for college applications. Jake's voice drops to almost a whisper. There was way more insurance money than he told us. Like, way more. The pieces start clicking together in my mind, forming a picture I don't want to see. Monday morning arrives gray and cold. matching my mood perfectly. I sit in my cubicle at Henderson and Associates, staring at tax documents for a client's small business audit, but my mind keeps wandering to Jake's revelation about the insurance money. During lunch break, I drive to the county courthouse, a brick building that smells like old paper and bureaucracy. I need to request public records for a business, I tell the clerk, a middle-aged woman with kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. Davis Construction. 20 minutes later, I'm sitting in my car with photocopied documents spread across my passenger seat. What I discover makes my blood run cold. Dad's company has been in serious financial trouble for over 2 years. Multiple lions, unpaid contractor fees, and worst of all, a lawsuit from a family whose deck collapsed last summer, injuring their 8-year-old daughter. But here's what really stops my heart. The settlement amount exactly matches what I've contributed to the household expenses over the past year. My money, earned from 60-hour work weeks and missed weekends with friends, has been paying for his legal problems while he called me a parasite. My phone rings. Dad's name flashes on the screen. Amelia, where are you? Mrs. Henderson called, looking for you. I'm running errands during lunch break. I lie smoothly. What did she need? Something about urine tax prep. Make sure you're back by 1:30. His tone carries that edge of control I'm starting to recognize more clearly now.
Of course, Dad.
After I hang up, I sit in the courthouse parking lot for another 10 minutes, watching ordinary people go about their ordinary lives while my world reshapes itself around this new knowledge. The father who raised me, who taught me to ride a bike and helped with homework, has been systematically using me as his personal bank account while making me feel guilty for existing. I start the engine and head back to work, but now I have a plan forming. That evening, I wait until Dad leaves for his Monday night poker game and Jake goes to his part-time job at the movie theater. The house feels different when I'm alone in it now, less like home and more like a crime scene I'm investigating. I slip into Dad's home office, a cramped room off the kitchen that smells like coffee and disappointment. His filing cabinet isn't locked. Dad's always been overconfident about his privacy, never imagining his obedient daughter would dare snoop through his personal business. The first drawer contains exactly what I expected: more evidence of financial mismanagement, unpaid invoices, and threatening letters from creditors. But the second drawer holds something that makes my hands shake. Insurance documents from Mom's policy, showing a payout of $250,000. $250,000 that he claimed barely existed. Beneath those papers, bank statements for an account I've never seen before, showing regular deposits from that insurance money over the past 4 years. While I've been working overtime and sacrificing my social life to keep this household running, he's been sitting on a $250,000 nest egg, doling it out to himself while calling me a parasite. I photograph every document with my phone, my hands steadier now that anger is replacing shock. In the bottom of the drawer, I find something even more damning. A letter from his lawyer about the debt collapse lawsuit, explicitly advising him to minimize visible assets and income sources until settlement negotiations conclude. The door slams downstairs. Dad's home early. I quickly close the filing cabinet and slip out of the office, making it to the kitchen just as his footsteps echo up the basement stairs where he parks his truck. Amelia, you home? Just making tea, I call back, filling the kettle with hands that barely tremble now. He appears in the doorway, studying my face with those sharp blue eyes that used to make me feel safe. Everything all right? You look pale. Just tired from work? I lie, meeting his gaze directly. Long day with the Henderson audit. He nods and heads toward his office. I listen to his footsteps, wondering if he'll notice anything out of place, but minutes pass without any shouts of discovery. 3 days before my New Year's Day deadline, I sit across from attorney Michelle Reeves in her downtown office. The walls are lined with law books and certificates that speak to decades of experience, exactly what I need right now. I've chosen her carefully after researching every family law attorney within 50 miles. Ms. Davis, this is quite a substantial case you're presenting, she says, reviewing the photographs and documents I've compiled. Your father has essentially committed financial elder abuse, except you're not elderly. This is more like financial manipulation and potential fraud. What are my options? Well, first, we need to discuss what you want to achieve. Are you seeking restitution for the money you've contributed? Do you want to expose his misuse of your mother's insurance money? Or are you primarily looking to protect yourself going forward? I lean back in the leather chair, considering the question I've been asking myself for days. I want justice. He's stolen from me while making me feel guilty for existing. He's hidden money that should have been shared with Jake and me after Mom died. And he's planning to throw me out while keeping my financial contributions. Attorney Reeves nods slowly. Then we have several avenues. First, we can file a civil suit for recovery of funds you've contributed under false pretenses. Second, we can report the insurance fraud to the state insurance commissioner. Third, we can ensure you're protected from any retaliation. How long would this take? Civil cases can drag on for months, but she pauses, studying my face. There might be a faster way to get his attention. Your father's construction business depends on his reputation and bonding ability. If certain information became public knowledge through the proper channels, he might be more motivated to negotiate quickly. I feel something shift inside me, a hardening that's been building since Christmas dinner. What kind of channels? The Better Business Bureau, State Contractor Licensing Board, and local business community all take ethical violations seriously. Sometimes the threat of exposure is more powerful than lengthy court proceedings. I leave her office with a retainer agreement and a timeline that will change everything before my forced move-out date. New Year's Eve morning arrives, crisp and clear. I'm packed and ready to move to the apartment I've secretly secured across town. But first, there's one last Christmas gift I need to deliver. Dad sits at the kitchen table with his coffee and newspaper, the picture of a man who thinks he's won. Morning, sweetheart. Got your things ready for the big move tomorrow? I pour myself coffee with steady hands. Actually, Dad, I have something for you first. I set a manila envelope on the table next to his newspaper. Consider it a New Year's present. He eyes the envelope suspiciously, but doesn't touch it. What's this? Open it. His face goes through several interesting changes as he pulls out the photocopied documents. First confusion, then recognition, then a flush of anger that starts at his collar and works its way up to his receding hairline. You went through my private files, just like you went through my bank account for the past year. I sit down across from him, amazed by how calm I feel. $250,000. Dad. That's what Mom's insurance paid out. While I've been working 60-hour weeks to pay your bills, you've been sitting on $250,000. That money is for emergencies, for the family's future. Whose future? Because it certainly wasn't mine you were considering when you called me a parasite. I lean forward. I know about the lawsuit settlement, the business debts, all of it. My money has been bailing out your mistakes while you made me feel like a burden. Jake appears in the doorway, drawn by our raised voices. His eyes widen as he takes in the scene. Dad clutching the documents, me sitting calmly with my hands folded. Jake should know too, I continue, about Mom's insurance money that was supposed to help secure his college education. About how his sister has been paying to keep this family afloat while you hoarded the real money. Your little dad starts to rise from his chair, but I hold up my hand. Sit down. I'm not finished. You have two choices. Dad, I pull out a second envelope, this one containing Attorney Reeves' business card and a draft complaint ready for filing. You can cooperate with my very reasonable demands, or you can explain to the State Contractor Licensing Board why you've been hiding assets while settling lawsuits. You can explain to the IRS why your tax returns don't match your actual financial situation. You can explain to your poker buddies and church friends why your daughter had to hire a lawyer to get back money you stole from her. Jake moves closer to the table, reading over Dad's shoulder. I watch my younger brother's face change as he processes the insurance documents, the bank statements, the evidence of Dad's deception. This is what's going to happen, I continue. You're going to reimburse me $18,400, the exact amount I've contributed to this household under false pretenses. You're going to put $50,000 into a college fund for Jake, money that should have been set aside years ago. And you're going to stop calling me a parasite when you've been the one feeding off my earnings. And if I refuse? I smile, feeling lighter than I have in months. Then, by this time next week, everyone in town will know exactly what kind of man you really are. Your business clients, your church congregation, your poker friends, the parents of that little girl who got hurt when your deck collapsed. They'll all know that Davis Construction is run by someone who steals from his own children. Dad's face has gone pale, his hands shaking slightly as he sets down the documents. You wouldn't do that to your own father. Try me. The grandfather clock chimes 9 times in the silence that follows. Finally, Jake speaks up, his voice quiet but firm. She's right. Dad, this is really messed up. Dad looks between us, seeing perhaps for the first time that his control over this family has evaporated completely. Fine, he says quietly. I'll write the check. Both checks, I correct. Mine and Jake's college fund. Today. 20 minutes later. I'm holding 2 cashier's checks and watching my father's world reshape itself around this new reality, where his daughter isn't afraid of him anymore. 6 months later, I'm sitting in my own apartment, a bright 2-bedroom place with hardwood floors and windows that face east toward the sunrise. Jake visits every weekend, excited about starting college in the fall with his tuition fully funded. We've grown closer since New Year's Day, bonded by shared truth and the relief of no longer walking on eggshells. Dad and I maintain a careful distance. He pays my reimbursement in monthly installments as agreed, and we exchange polite conversations when necessary. But something fundamental changed that morning in the kitchen. He no longer has the power to make me feel small or unwelcome, because I know exactly what I'm worth and what I won't tolerate. The apartment is quiet, except for the gentle hum of the dishwasher I bought myself, running dishes from the dinner party I hosted last night for Sarah and my other college friends. For the first time in years, I had people over without worrying about someone else's mood or approval. We laughed until midnight, talking about career plans and travel dreams, and all the possibilities that open up when you're not pouring your energy into someone else's dysfunction. My phone buzzes with a text from Jake. Dad asked if you're coming to Easter dinner. I consider the invitation, weighing the complicated feelings I still carry toward the man who raised me, but also betrayed me. Maybe someday we'll find a new balance, a relationship built on honesty instead of manipulation. But not yet. I type back, tell him I already have plans, because I do have plans. I have a life now that belongs entirely to me, funded by my own work and governed by my own choices. I have an emergency fund that no one else can access, friendships that don't require me to be anyone but myself, and the quiet confidence that comes from standing up to someone who thought they could keep you small forever. Sometimes, the best revenge isn't dramatic confrontation or public humiliation. Sometimes it's simply refusing to accept someone else's version of your worth and building something beautiful with your own 2 hands. As I watch the sun set through my own windows, I realized that Christmas dinner wasn't the end of my family relationships, it was the beginning of my real life.